start? What did you start? Hey, what's up, guys? It's Leaf here, coach of the Latchkey Kids, back at it again with another coach interview. This time we have somebody from season 2 who actually never got a chance to do an interview like myself. RyanPbHebert, coach of the Springfield Spoinks. You want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Hello, everybody. My name is RyanPbHebert, RyanPbHebert. Either one works for me. I have been playing in this series since season 2. I'm very excited to be back for season 3. Even bringing a friend of mine along with me to join the league as well. Played VGC now for about, it's going to be since 2015, so 6 to 7 years. But diving into this draft league has been a completely new experience where, you know, you take some aspects of VGC and then you flip it on its head because you're dealing with a lot more Pokemon at the very same time. So it's a great experience.
Sweet. Well, that knocks out like 4 of my questions. So great. No, I'm just playing.
Happy to help.
So we'll just get down to the nitty gritty. You were here season 2 and you're back for a season 3. Last season you went 4-6 and did not make playoffs.
No, I did not.
This season it looks like you got 3 wins already out of the way. You're 3-1, currently sitting with a +2 differential, sitting comfortably in our 5th place spot of top 8. So if you had to tell us a difference between how you were playing last season or how you were prepping last season versus how you were playing or prepping this season, what sort of changes have you made in order to kind of push yourself past that barrier that we saw last season?
Yeah, great question. Thank you so much. I think that for this season starting off, instead of having a team that was entirely built by a friend of mine, because I heavily had Cortex influence the team that I built in season 2. He wasn't a part of the series then, but he's a part of it now in season 3. And I really asked for his help because it was my first time being a part of a draft league like this, and I had no experience. So he helped me out. He helped me choose my mons, and I had such a killer team with Metagross, Gmax, Lapras, Moltres, Raichu, Amoonguss. Like, I couldn't believe the Pokemon I had at my disposal. But I was at a little bit of a disadvantage because the mindset that I had on the team versus my friend were different. And that has completely changed for season 3. Season 3, I went into it fully knowing what I wanted to do. Alola, Ninetales, and Mandibuzz were the solid 2 that I needed and wanted for my team in order to feel like I could really get some good victories in a format like this. It's a very unique format, and it's different than that of VGC. Last season, you know, a lot of the time I caught myself getting caught up in the trends and the metas of VGC because that's really what my team was. It was heavily based off of VGC, going off of those meta games, but at the same time, people weren't thinking like that when I was going up against them. I got fooled into so many different tactics and ideas, and it caught me off guard, but it got me surprised, and it woke me up. I was like, okay, this, I have to respect this. I can't just think that someone's going to do X because they could do Y, they could do Z, or they could do totally something that I wasn't expecting, and it could work. Sometimes it doesn't, but it can. And so for this season, I've tried to keep all possibilities open, consider all different type of options that someone may have, and really just go full force into prepping for my matches. Like, I was prepping last season, but this season it's at a whole new level.
Awesome. Well, we like what we see so far. You actually started undefeated, which is crazy. It's a good way to start off. I haven't started off a season undefeated since my first season, and I think you're actually following the same kind of trajectory that I did for season 1, where I went 3-0 and then I lost all my games. And I'm not saying that's what you're gonna do. I don't think that's what you're gonna do, because you don't have someone else's team this season. You have RyanPbHebert's team this season, and you're doing RyanPbHebert prep this season. So of course we're always looking forward to that. Now, your last match, what do you think caused the L on that one? Because we saw Ryan come out here strong with matches 1, 2, and 3. So where do you think? So what part of your prep do you think succeeded your last week, and what do you think didn't succeed last.
Yeah,
week.
absolutely. So my match that I lost was actually week 3. It was against my building partner Cortex. So I won 2 in a row, lost the 3rd week, and then won my 4th week. And so that match, I prepped with lots of different people, and at the end of the day, you know, when it comes down to facing off against a prep partner, Cortex and I have spent hours going up against each other, prepping. Even before the league got started, he knew that he wanted to do something with Scarf Guardy, and he knew that it worked really well against me. And so when it came to knowing that sort of stuff, and just the speed tiers of what he had, it was just really hard to catch up to what he was using. That being said, do I think that I prepped enough? Yeah, I prepped with at least 2 different people, spent hours going over different scenarios and really trying to flowchart how I wanted the games to go. At the end of the day, it was a really hard matchup, and I said to myself, well, can't win them all. If I face him back in Top Cut later on in the season, I'm going to do my best to try to get the dub. But for now, got to keep moving on forward, and I think we did that in week 4. We were able to come back, took those games, took the dub, and we're walking straight into week 5 here with a new match coming up real soon.
Sweet. Well, I do apologize for the misconception. These weeks kind of start to mold together when you watch 24 games a week. Yeah, so it's actually, I think the story of, going 2-0 and then losing your 3rd and then coming back strong, I think that actually does a lot more for a coach's kind of like mental state than just going 3-0 and then getting a loss.
Yeah.
So looking at your next match, do you want to, without spoiling anything, because obviously I don't want anyone to speak their prep. Who do you think, what Pokemon do you think you're the most worried about? And kind of like, where does your prep kind of like centralize for the season?
Absolutely. My prep entirely centralizes around speed control, and whether or not that's a big secret for my opponents, heed my words. I am always actively thinking about whose Pokemon are going to move first on the field and when. And so when looking at my week 5 opponent, I believe it's against Dan and the Alexandria Arcanines. He's got quite a scary team. While it is not the most offensive team, the team is able to pivot, take some hits, and then deliver some offense right back to you within a couple of turns. Not to mention, he's got some Pokemon that have the ability to lower your special defense with fake tiers, that sort of thing. So he's definitely got some stuff ready and prepared for me. I'm hoping that I can come out on top. That's always the hope. He does have redirection with Psychic Terrain. He also does have one of the very few rare teams with weather as well. So he is a double whammy between Hail and Psychic Terrain. Well, it just turns out that I'm very prepared for Hail myself. So his Arctivish is not that scary to me. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to speed control. And so both of us have some great options for that. He's got Crobat and Aromatisse. I've got Mandibuzz, Solrock, Lunatone, Gallade. The options just keep on going. So Tailwind, let's just, this is just a fact. Tailwind on Crobat is basically inevitable. It really is. Mental Herb plus Inner Focus makes it almost impossible to stop Tailwind. It's one of the fastest things on the field, reaches a max speed of 200 at level 50. It's unstoppable. So there's no stopping that. Now, at the same time, with Follow Me on Female and Didi, plus Aromatisse's Trick Room, which is a great setter of Trick Room, especially in Psychic Terrain with redirection, Dan is going to be able to get up the speed control that he wants to get. But doesn't mean that we can't reverse it or match it. And so that's really what it's going to come down to. I'm very excited for the matchup. We'll see how it goes.
And I actually didn't even know that you were facing Dan next. That's going to be an incredible game. Highly looking forward to that game now. Actually, when do you guys match up?
We are matching up Thursday evening, so tomorrow.
Oh, perfect. This video is coming out after that.
Great.
So even if you did accidentally leak something, no, you didn't.
We'll see what the result is. I'm speaking on it now. I'd like to get the win, but hey, don't want to get too cocky now. Gotta try to think of everything, you know.
Now, as most of your other matches, will you be streaming this one?
Yeah, I always do. I really try to prefer to. The only times where I'm not streaming, if I ever don't, typically is if I'm going under a lot of stress, whether it be a top cut match, or if I've got something going on in real life where I'm just like, I can't stream today, I'm always going to try to record it. I actually haven't posted the past 2 weeks videos. I have them. I just haven't sat down and had the time just due to how busy the holiday season is. I'm also on the job hunt right now, so I've been hella busy, but I do have those to eventually post online, because there's one thing I love about the VBA. It's the constant flow of content that keeps on giving week after week. And, you know, I don't know about you, Leaf, but I've done some of the math about what could be coming out each week when it comes to numbers. I mean, you know, I think we've already reached the first season when it comes to content. Season 1 had about 70, 80 videos. We've already reached that for season 3 within the first 4 weeks. Okay. And now season 2, we had over 133 videos, maybe 135 at most, that are on that playlist. We are currently more than halfway to that goal, and we're not even halfway through the season. So this is by far the biggest season so far, the most videos, and so I'm very excited to see all that content being posted, because it only solidifies the league as it continues further into further seasons.
Well, I'm actually I'm not tearing up. My eyes just kind of itchy. It's great to see that you're noticing that. You know, a lot of hard work does get put into the content on not only the VBA admin and staff team, but we have someone outside of the current VBA season working on us. So we have Popo helping us. And that also including all of the hard work from all the other coaches that are creating their own content. Some people even using their own cell phones, which I think is a whole new type of work in itself. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a pain in the butt to have to set up a cell phone to even record a Switch. It's not like the days where you could set up your phone in a nice position in front of a Nintendo DS and try to do it that way. No, these are the days of the Nintendo Switch. You're either recording a screen or recording the Switch screen, and that is not easy, so I gotta give them kudos.
For sure, definitely. And I don't know about you, but I kind of hope Pokemon brings back their record match function, because that would make this so much easier on everybody.
It would. It really would. It'd make it quite accessible to be able to get recordings back again. But for now, at least we have an HDMI port to be able to do more stuff when it comes to content creation. But not everyone has access to that type of stuff. So it is not equal, but it's some type of equity. So
yeah, for sure. And you know, a lot of people are down on themselves, like, oh, I can only record with a cell phone, blah blah blah. Listen, Rhett's video with the cell phone, Bubbles videos when he can have time to put them out, you know, Rolo streaming on the Discord with his cell phone. That first time he did it had a full lobby. You know, don't ever look down on yourself when, you know, and this goes out to people who are watching, who do record with cell phones. Don't think twice about posting those videos. We all want to see them. Doesn't matter if they're HD with an Elgato. Doesn't matter if you edit them. Put them up raw. Put them up from a cell phone. Just get out the content, because just like Ryan said, we're already halfway through that mark of season 2, and we're not even fully halfway through the season.
No, not even. And you never know when you're going to want to go back to a match to review something, even a hyper specific moment, because it's always interesting to go back through and see how somebody plays on such a minute level. And I think that's, if you want to ask me about, like, if there's one thing about my prep that I do, it's that I always go back and review what my opponents do against their matches week after week, especially as we dive deeper into the season when there's all that spicy content. Oh yeah, it's the best.
Well, speaking of, that kind of segues into my next question, and this kind of loops back to prep. When you're prepping for a season, what kind of changes do you make with your prep with the first half of the season versus the second half? Because I know the first half, a lot of people like to do like their, you know, quote unquote simple prep, right? And then they bring their real spicy stuff the second half. Now, how do you kind of look at that?
So I don't think I've been in enough draft leagues to be like, yeah, I'm going to hide my secret strats for later in the season. I remember hearing about this in season 2 and seeing kind of get played out as time went on. I think it's really cool that that's a thing, but for me, I think consistency is key. If your preparation can keep you winning week after week, no matter what, I say go for it, because at the end of the day, your opponent doesn't get to see an open team sheet. They just get to see those 6 Pokemon and whatever information is revealed to them at the end of the day. If you don't want to bring one of your 11 Pokemon in those first 5 to 6 weeks because you feel like you need to hide a tech, I mean, I honestly think that you could be shooting yourself in the foot, holding yourself back from potentially a tech getting you maybe more than one victory over opponents week after week. You just never know unless you certifiably are like, oh yeah, I can play these 6 months for the first 5 weeks, and I'm confident that I don't need to show anything else. Hey, that's on. If that's what you want to do, that's on you. I think Cortex would probably say the same thing. I think we'd both be in agreement over, it's really like how consistent can you be? And so I don't view my prep in the next, coming weeks as, what have I been hiding for spicy prep? It's just like I have a Lowland Ninetales and I have Panda Buzz and I know what they do. And I know that I can either run Aurora Veil or use some of the moves that it has in its move pool. Panda Buzz is a tank. I'm going to give it items so that it can live stuff that I know it needs to live. And then it's just going to keep doing its thing. And then as for everything else that I have, I mean, it's no secret that certain things have beat up, right? It's like, yeah, I've got a justified mon on my team. I could definitely try some beat up strategy that I haven't done so far in the first 4 weeks here. But is it something that I think is very consistent that, I want to be bringing week after week? No. So could that be something considered spicy to bring like later on? Yeah, but you know what? If you see Gallade and Nidoqueen or Salazzle on the same team, I think it's at a disservice to somebody else to go, man, is he bringing beat up Salazzle so that he can beat up Gallade on the field? Yeah, I'm gonna bring 2 glass cannons on the field at the same time against somebody and really see how that goes when they start hitting me with some thick Pokemon and they just don't take any damage. So end of the day, I don't have any spicy stuff. At least I don't think I do. No.
Well, either way, we'd love to see it. Like you said before, consistency is key. So as long as you keep, I mean, you've been pretty consistent. I mean, you haven't been bringing the exact same sets every week, but you've been, your play style has been pretty consistent, and so far it's working with you. You're 3-1, and I can't even talk about that one because I'm 0-4. So.
The one is simply my buddy knows what I do really well, and so he does his stuff really well and even better. So it's just, to me, that's really as simple as I can say, is that Cortex is an amazing player, and so if I have to face him again in Top Cut, which I think I will eventually, I'll have to do my best. I will.
Well, if anything, if I've learned anything from, well, I mean, I've learned a lot of things from draft leagues, but one of the top things I've learned is nothing feels better than a salty run back.
That's true. It's true. And last season, that's kind of what it felt like. I lost really the majority of my matches in the beginning of the season, and then I started making that comeback. I was 4-5, and I needed a win in on that week 10 against Samuel with the Grimmsnarls, and we had such a great match, super close, and in the end, he was able to get the victory over me in some last crucial turns, and so it was close, but I was like, you know what, I'll come back, see what we can do in another season.
Yeah, and you've been doing great so far.
Thank you.
So I am looking at the transaction sheet right now.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at it. Now I'm looking at it. You made all 3 of your transactions.
Yeah.
You started with, I think your first one was you dropped the Lily for the Lunatone.
Absolutely.
Your second one was Manda Buzz for Aegislash.
Mm-hmm.
But your third one was you dropped that Aegislash for the Manda Buzz again. What happened there?
So Cortex and I had gone back and forth on this. We noticed Sasori dropped Aegislash week 3. Or it was week 4. And I said to him, Aegislash is available. Steel type like that could finish off my Fantasy Core really, really well. Fantasy Core, of course, being Fairy, Dragon, Steel. And he agreed with me. And he goes, well, what are you going to drop? And I go, well, the only thing I could drop is Manda Buzz, because I can't drop Ninetales. There's no way. I lose my entire weather mode. It's too good. And so we talked it over. And so he convinces me otherwise. So I say, okay, I'm going to do it. So I get the dub on week 4, and I go, okay. It was week 3 he dropped it. Sorry, week 3 he drops it. I pick it up week 3 so I can use it immediately week 4. So I bring it week 4. I don't even use it though. I don't need to. Against a Rotom, it's just like it wasn't going to do anything. It wasn't going to do me any good. So I had it, and then as we were talking about stuff, losing Tailwind, because it was my only Tailwind setter, Mandibuzz. So I said, man, this is not good, because if I'm seeing one pattern in this league from coaches that are losing, it is a consistent or an inconsistent use of speed control. And that's what I kept seeing from Sasori. Making good plays, making great plays. But their Pokemon were not attacking first, and they were suffering because of it. And so I don't blame Sasori for dropping that Aegislash, because, it's a great Pokemon. But if you don't have the right speed control for it, it can't do what you want it to do. And so that's really where I was like, oh, geez, like, do I really want this Pokemon, or do I really want that tank that I know can really put in the work during the season? I mean, with the Stab Foul play and Snarl alone, just do so much over a battle to weaken your opponents. And so because of that, I was just like, oh, man, I think I got to go for this. And, Cortex was like, well, if you drop Aegislash, I'll probably pick it up. And I go, great, sounds good. So I dropped it. I was like, you know what? It was fun to have for a week. I don't need this anymore. I'll bring back my Mandibuzz, just like good old times in the previous weeks before.
Well, Mandibuzz is sick, and I'm honestly happy to see it back. As we were talking in the weekly update video me and Popo do, we thought it was weird at first, but I think I'm on this side. I think I like to see it back on the team. I think you're totally right. Consistent speed control is great. I haven't had any consistent speed control, and look at me, 0-4.
It's a weird format, right? Because you get rid of all these legendary Pokemon that do provide those options. So normally, really, I mean, let's say you had a Regieleki on your team. You don't have to worry about speed control when you've got one of the fastest Pokemon in the format spamming Electro Web, right? Yeah. You don't have to worry about speed control if you can use Latias or Latios or Latias to use Tailwind, So it's stuff like that where it's like, if I had a Moltres to boost up Max Tailwind with Maxed, these are all different things that really affect the format where we don't have those. So if you don't have some form of speed control to make sure that your Pokemon can either attack or set up first, it becomes an issue.
Well, that, and you can't just outbulk your opponent's Pokemon either by clicking the Dynamax button either. So.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You can't. Yeah. And so I do like this style of play as well. I think people have their feelings on Max versus non-Max. After playing many series now in VGC with Max, I can tell you that many of us in the community, including myself, are ready for things to be back to non-Max so that Fake Out and Protect actually means something. And so that your HP doesn't go to 200%. Because, it's really cool to see Pokemon like Sudowoodo be usable in a Dynamax format like that. That's what I made it do. I took it to Players Cup 2 and 3. It was really awesome. It worked out really nicely. That's what Max is for. It makes these Pokemon that are not viable because you're boosting their stats like crazy, and all of a sudden they can set up a Sandstorm with a Max Rock, and now it's got a boosted special defense, 200% HP, and it's got an attack and defense stat to save it for days. So that's awesome. But is it truly what Pokemon's been about for the longest time? No. And so very happy to be a part of what we're doing right now.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And I think the admins are glad to hear it too. I think out of all of our coach interviews, everyone has said how much, they've liked the kind of change in format. But speaking of Sudowoodo, I see that it's your favorite Pokemon. That's what you said on your favorite designed Pokemon. That you've put on the survey that Theo sent out earlier this season. But I'm also looking at your Twitch right now. Yeah, I have everything up. Don't worry.
Wow.
So if Sudowoodo is your favorite design Pokemon, why the decision for Spoinks as your kind of like your mascot?
Great question. So the Spoink mascot actually comes out of when I first got into Pokemon. I'm curious if some people in this draft league may know. There used to be a website called the Silver League for Pokemon. And I think some of the people who are like ages 24 my age to like 30, maybe a little bit older, may know of this league where it was made up of people who were gym leaders, Elite Four, and it was run by this guy named Silver August, who turned out to be a pedo and a lot of weird other shit. And eventually their whole thing got scrapped. But they were around for at least a decade, and I remember trying to be a part of what they were doing. They were not very inclusive. It was impossible to battle gym leaders. I was just like, this is ridiculous. You want to be a part of something like this, but it feels impossible to do because people just aren't available to battle or this or that. And so I was like, this is bull. So I said, I'm going to make my own site. I'm going to do my own thing. And so I started the Opal League with the idea of a spoink having an opal on its head instead of a pearl. And so that's why the stone on top of Spoink's head kind of looks a little weird and doesn't look like a pearl exactly. It's supposed to be an opal. And so the Opal League is what I got started, and it was this website with a forum and everything, and it had a chat on the front page, just like the Silver League, and gym leaders and Elite Four and this and that and tournaments and all that fun stuff. And I'd recruit people from all over. I'd go into Sarah B's chat box before they had Discord and be like, hey, want to be a part of this league? And so people come on, and I had a whole admin crew. It was really sick. And, it came back 3 or 4 times. People would come on and play and do this and that. And then eventually it did die off as I got busier with school and stuff like that way back in like 2015, 2014, whatever. But did that for a few years, had a lot of fun, and it kind of died off. But, I love Sudowoodo. I love Polyworld. If you haven't noticed. But at the end of the day, I started off with Spoinks, and last season I was just going with the Meltan nuts because it's the nuts, bro. It's so funny. I was like, this is a ridiculous name. And I gotta tell you this. So I'm sitting at dinner with my girlfriend. Nathan sends me a text, and we're talking about the weekly polls that are being put out, okay? Every week, nobody votes for me. Nobody has voted for me in these polls, and that's okay. That's okay, but you got to hear what Cortex had to say about this, because it is hands down the funniest thing I've ever heard him say. He goes, "Bro, you know what it is, Ryan? I know why people never vote for you. 2 things. 1, because your name, Springfield Spoinks, bro. That sounds as intimidating as a title of as a Teletubbies episode. And also, bro, how are people gonna get behind this?" And he pulls up the logo, like takes this pixelated screenshot of my. It's kind of hard to see with the light. Pixelated screenshot of my logo and goes, "How are people gonna get behind this as the face of destruction?" I think people see the Spoink and in their minds are psychologically like, hell nah, that ain't winning this week. And I kind of go against this notion of, yeah, you need a big, bad, fully evolved, scary Pokemon to be the face of a team that's going to dominate. I truly, truly am behind, like the Trixie Tricos, right? I love that. I love that. I love the simplicity of youngness and, like a Spoink. Because I'll tell you this, too. When I was playing VGC, when the circuit was around, because, it's not happening right now due to COVID, sometimes the locals, juniors and seniors, do not have enough kids to play against them, so they get paired up with masters. There is nothing more terrifying than going up against a kid who has no sense of the metagame and just goes off of their pure instinct and will. And that is so scary, because you think they're going to do something that one way, and then they just go 180 degrees another way, and you're like, holy crap, I didn't even think that they were going to do that. And so with the Springfield Spoinks, I want them to think that something is going to go one way. And I was going to say, I watched your latest Poke Center episode, and you guys, I think it was mentioned by, it's you and who's the other host, the name?
Popo.
Okay, I didn't want to get it wrong. I thought it was Popo. Popo says, "Oh yeah, the Kinglers, they figured out pretty quickly that Ninetales didn't have a stash." I disagree. It was like 3 or 4 turns in before an overheat went out into Ninetales, because the assumption was, I felt that the assumption was, they're gonna Aurora Veil, they probably have a stash. Why waste my time, trying to get rid of Ninetales right away when it has a focus stash? Well, they targeted, I believe I started Gyarados. It was Gyarados Ninetales. They targeted the Gyarados. I had Wakan on there, and I was able to do what I wanted to do by just spamming Icy Wind. And that's what it was. And so they didn't click overheat fast enough. If they had gone for the overheat right away, it would have been a totally different game. And that's how game 3, I think, was decided, because I said, okay, I'm going to change up what my lead's going to be. Salamence Salazzle instead of this Ninetales Gyarados lead, where he was countering it with Torracat and Heat Rotom. I might have been starting Ninetales. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, I'll just stop there because I forgot where we were. But yeah.
Well, I mean, so I do remember talking about that match, and one of the things we also said is you played your ass off, but B, you did really well, like sort of adapting to what Krabby was bringing. And that kind of goes off of two things. One, he brings the same thing like if he sees that something works, there's a 98% chance that he's just going to bring it again. He's like, oh, this works. So he's a little predictable in that sense. But also we look at your other games and we see that you're always adapting. You do a really good job adapting. Do you think that comes at all from like a theater standpoint, or like from like your other hobbies, or like other things that you've done outside of Pokemon? Do you think that kind of affects your level to adapt in Pokemon?
I think that Cortex is a big reason why I have that adaptability. Like I bring it back to my prep with him and working with him. His ideas and theories behind how to adapt when playing the game, I think are definitely applicable, and I try to use those when I can, when I understand them. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, what he said to me was, what 2 Pokemon can cover the most options and give you the most opportunities against whatever he made lead in your mind. And sometimes you can have a bad turn 0 by doing something like that. It is risky. It is really risky. But in a game 3 scenario, once you've seen your opponent kind of go the same way a couple times, you get a pretty good idea eventually of like, okay, I may have to change this. And, you know, it does make sense on Krabby's end to say, if this lead works, I can just keep doing it, but I have to target down the right things in order to do so. And I think in game 3, he uses that Draco Meteor into Salamence. Salamence at that point, I had used Draco Meteor, and I got rid of Rotom, and I was actually relying on him. I was baiting him. I wanted to bait him into just going into it so that he could sack my Salamence, so I could get in a free Ninetales and just start going to town. Because once I had dropped my special attack, I was done. You know, people saw my moveset when it was released. Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, and I can't remember the last move, but it wasn't applicable into Primarina. And so I was like, I need this off the field now. And so when he revealed Draco Meteor and killed it, I was like, fantastic. Because now we can just bring in the Ninetales and spam Frost Breath. On top of that, he dropped his special attack. He lets me get the KO on that Torracat. And so at the end of the day, I think that he played well. He just needed to prioritize who is the real threat on the field. And really, like, Salazzle was a huge threat. I mean, the Sludge Bomb coming out of that thing, Stab Sludge Bomb, on my team last week in general, off of Nidoqueen and off of Salazzle, was huge. Literally, it saved my team. That is what won me the week. Just spamming Sludge Bomb into everything that I possibly could. And so at the end of the day, I think that was winnable from his standpoint. But he had to target Pokemon a little bit differently in order to do so. It was hard, but it was doable. So at the end of the day, I was able to get the win, and that's how it went in Season 2 too. I just want to bring this up. He and I fought, and it went to Game 3 in Season 2, and it was the same exact thing. It came down to small, minute plays between the both of us. I was able to get the win over him, if I remember correctly, but it was not easy. It was not easy whatsoever, and the both of us played really well. So at the end of the day, you know, it was a great matchup. I hope to see him continue to do well, because he's a great team. Cortex and I think he's one of the best teams in the league, by far. By far, he does.
I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, he just has to keep playing it really well, and keep up just prioritizing who the best Pokemon is to knock out, so that in 3 turns you can get the win.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I think Krabby's team this season is scary. I think Krabby and we've actually all talked about this. Krabby is one of the most leveled up player that we've seen come out of, because he was in VBA before me. He was in like season 0, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he went 0-10 or something kind of like that. And now he has a gross team that he drafted himself. He's making good plays. He's doing real well. And I think that a lot of people sleep on the Crab, but that's neither here nor there. Now, when it comes to Mr. RyanPbHebert, I see here that the only hobby you wrote down was that you like to do content creation. Now, tell us about that. How long did you start? What did you start with? What are your platforms?
Oh boy, that was the only hobby I wrote down. I probably was just not very inventive with that form at the time, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, sure, content creation ranges from Pokemon to my theater to whatever else. I've really tried and done it all, and in my opinion, I think, when I first started out, it was with an Apple crap top, a 2015 Apple crap top that I was also using for school. So it was great for school functionality, but it was horrible for content creation functionality. But when you start out as a content creator, you're using what you can. And these days we are so lucky to have phones with such great cameras and microphones, because you can pick yourself up right now and get recording, get editing, get posting all on the same device. And hey, it may not be as advanced as someone with a full setup like I do now, but hey, that takes time and takes patience. I started out in around 2017, 2018, making these videos, and they're honestly quite embarrassing. I've hidden quite a few of them because they're cringe to me. I don't even like to go back to them. I don't think they're, like I said, I've hidden most of them. They're not even available to be watched. Maybe in the future I can reveal some of these cringy like videos. I'd make these like team videos talking about like one of them's like a Tapu Lele and Carbink combo team from like 2018, and like Carbink was not meta, okay? So like, I was doing stuff like that. I was doing stuff with Rampardos 2018. It was like, oh, check out my cool Rampardos team, all this other stuff, and oh man, it was so cringe. But you know what? We worked through it, and we move into 2018, 2019. Ending of 2019, beginning of 2020, I built my first PC, and that's where the content creation gets real. I don't have a 3DS capture card because I didn't want to drop the money. It was too expensive for me. I couldn't afford it, and I knew that the Switch was coming out. It'd have an HDMI port. I could get a capture card, so I waited. In the meantime, though, I was making content when VGC updates were coming out, and then I was also trying out like vlogging at VGC events as well. I saw other people doing it. I was a little insecure about it at first, and then I said, you know what, F it, like, I'm just gonna go and try it out. And I had a ton of fun doing that type of video. One of my favorite videos I've ever done was me preparing to go to Washington Worlds in 2019 during the summer, and it was my video of taking a day trip to New York to go play in a PC below Times Square under the pond, where people usually are ice skating by the Starbucks. There's like an open area with tables, and Patrick Donegan, a local New York tournament organizer, would regularly host events there out in public at these tables. And so the New York people would show up, and I was like, I gotta show up to support my homies. So I'd take a 4-hour trip from Massachusetts down at 6 a.m. in the morning, get to New York by 10:30 to get to the event by 11 so that I could be there on time, play the event, and then at 6 o'clock that night, head back home and get to my car by 11 o'clock at night so that I could say I went and played some Pokemon that day. It was a good time. 2019 was also the year I spent an entire year as a producer and commentator for the Pokemon, well, sort of for the Pokemon company, sort of not. They were official streams with another company that was doing streaming, and I headed that commentary team, casted all the commentators, had some of my friends with me, did a lot of fun, did 5 regional events, 3 or 4 different VGC formats, which is crazy when you think about it compared to any other, year before that. Because VGC used to be 1 format a year, no changes except if they dropped a new Pokemon, such as Incineroar with Intimidate. When it first came out in Sun and Moon, They dropped that on an early March morning, and it shook up everything and instantly became one of the most used Pokemon in the format as it is today. It's crazy. And so to commentate so many different formats in such a short amount of time, it was insane to be able to do so, but it was so much fun. And so I made these like kind of crackhead type videos. Those you can find on my YouTube still. There's one where it's called Incineroar's Back. I'm just absolutely like super creative and super loose and super like weird in it. And the video, like I can't monetize off of it, and because I used Circle of Life at the end of it with Incineroar and just fucking scream into my crappy microphone, "It's back!" And it just fucking hit the table and everything goes off. It was hilarious. And then this past year during COVID, for a lot of us, it was spent inside, it was spent at home. And so I was in my apartment in Chicago. I had my PC, I had my setup, and I said to myself, if there is a time to take content creation seriously on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, Twitter, this is the time to do it. And so I started streaming. At first, it was a few hours a day, then 4 to 5 hours a day, to 10 plus hours a day. I had some crazy long days, and I didn't have to have a sleep schedule. So I'd start streaming at 11 o'clock at night, and I'd be awake till 6 or 7 a.m. the next morning. I'd stream through the night, through the morning, and it was insane. And I was streaming Pokemon at first, and then I got sick of it. Streaming VGC over and over and over again is tiring. And so that's why folks have seen me transition from Pokemon to League of Legends. And there's a big reason for it. It's just because League of Legends to me is more fun to be playing on stream for hours on end than Pokemon. It's just very simple to me. But that all changes when we're talking about draft leagues. And so here comes the VBA. And at the same time, I'm a part of a VGC draft league. And then, in 2019, 2020, I also started my own draft league, which is a whole other thing. That was amazing. That was a whole fun time. And I was doing that at the same time as last season. But anyways, let's speed up all the way to today. Content creation for me right now looks like this. YouTube videos for the VBA. And, at the beginning of the season, I put out a whole bunch of different videos. I think I had one of the most creative team videos that anyone could have when it came to a team overview. I spent at least 10 hours putting together the Smash video for my team to just introduce all the different Pokemon. I was like, how do I do this that's like not in a way that's boring? Because everyone else is presenting their team really cool and like really factual, and I'm like, I just want to be like, yo, check out these dope mons. Boom, baby. Like, let's go. And that's exactly what I think I did. And so that was a ton of fun. I wanted to put out as much content as I could before the season got started, because once the season gets started, I'm sure you can agree, your time into content creation is really going into prep. It's really what it's all about. Like, do I want to spend more time looking good, sounding good, and like putting stuff out on the interwebs? Or do I want to be prepared for my match and also live my life? Number two. So content creation for this right now is YouTube videos once a week. And I'm also going really, really hard at promoting my live shows, because I'm a professional actor and entertainer, on TikTok. I've been doing that since early November, and actually I've really been starting to see some like slow, consistent growth over the past month, which has been really, really cool. So I'm 2 months of like just super consistent posting right now on there, and the growth shows. It is a grind, it's a slow burn, but really I'll take it any day. And so yeah, that's really what's up. TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. It's a good time.
Nice. Now, you're really great at coming up with my segues for me. Tell us about your theater career.
Theater career. Yeah, I've got quite an extensive theater career so far. I'm only 24. I've been in over 30 different productions just as an actor alone. I've written a few shows as well, had a couple of them performed at smaller venues, either by high schools or just smaller groups. I've directed a show or two. I've been a stage manager for at least one. I've self-published a play that I've written as well. It's on Amazon. I think it's a little cringy, but it's okay. I was so invested into it early one night in a January winter that I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm just going to self-publish this. I'm going to learn how to do it all in one night and publish it now. And so that's exactly what I did. I published it, put it out there, and that was that. But my theater career spans far and wide. But right now, it's actually quite a disappointing time for the theater industry due to COVID. Constant closures are hitting the Broadway scene right now, on and off, all around the country in theaters, even in your hometowns. You may notice that if your hometown theater has to close performances due to COVID, that's happening everywhere else. And really, any Broadway performance you see going up tonight, tomorrow, the next day, it's because there are understudies, actors on standby that are just, ready at the wings to be able to take over a role for someone who gets sick. And it's horrible that it's happening. It makes it incredibly hard for me to get into the industry because that's what I've wanted to do, right? So, this summer, I said to myself, I cannot stand aside and not be cast in a show and not do something. Because if I want to audition, I'm either going to have to, one, stand in front of my own camera and record myself every single time. And that's hell. Self-tapes are hell, man. I hate doing it. And so I said to myself, why not get a little bit more creative with this? So, local theater in town. We've got this big regional theater down the street, and then we've got this beautiful, historic 98-year-old movie house that also, in the past 5 years, has had quite a knack for doing live shows and music. And so I said to myself, what if I reach out to this theater owner and ask him if I can do my own Frank Sinatra-esque style solo show for 2 hours? So I go up to my buddy Max, the owner of the theater, and I say, hey Max, I would like to do my own solo show at your theater for 2 hours. Can I book a date with you? When can we do it? The middle of summer, he's probably booked almost every freaking date you can imagine. He's like, yeah, man, sure. Yeah, how about 3 weeks from now on Sunday night at 10 p.m.? And I'm like, yeah, totally. I can do that. He's like, 3 weeks? That good? I go, yep. So I walk away and I'm like, holy fuck. I have 3 weeks to put together a 2-hour show from scratch. And I have nothing. Absolutely nothing prepared for this. What have I gotten myself into? And so for 3 weeks, and I want to describe to you, Leaf, just how much of a grind this was. Okay. So if you know anything about me, is that I do not sit back and do nothing. Okay. This summer, between the months of June and July, I worked 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. with 1.5 hour break between the two jobs. I worked the first job during the day at the beach, the second job right in town, right up the street at night. So I worked 10 to 10, sometimes that 10 at night, pushed to 10:30, 11, sometimes it ended a little bit earlier. But after that, I would then go home, work my night jobs that I had, one for an esports company as an admin, another as a test auditor for a company that works for colleges and universities called Examity. And so I had 4 jobs going on at the same time this summer. And I say to myself, you know what? Add it onto the pile. Let's just do my own 2-hour live show that I have to make posters for, self-promote, self-produce, put it together, memorize all the songs, make sure that I'm singing everything correctly, get all the music set, work with the sound guy, hire a professional videographer, get all of this together, buy my own tux, rent my own tux, do all this sort of stuff. Is it coming through to you, Leaf? I was a little stressed, okay? But this is where we thrive, okay? What happens when you condense rock in a metamorphic state? It becomes metamorphic rock, Leaf. It becomes strong, sturdy, steaming and hot, but not a piece of shit, no. A pretty piece of shit. And that's exactly what it was. Not a piece of shit at all. It was glorious. We put together a show for July 11th, Sunday night, 10 to 12, 21 solid nights, no going out, no drinking, even though I wanted to after all the rude customers every single day. 21 days of pure getting down to business from 10 at night to 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning every day, waking up the next day to go to work, to memorize more lyrics, sitting at the cash register, waiting for people to come up and order their fries. Great time. I enjoyed it immensely. And if you would like to see any of that, go to Pure Boyhood on TikTok. That's where the videos are. I've been posting them for the past 2 months. You can see how I sing, what I sound like. I may be hype and excitable in my videos, but man, I'm cool and collected, and a cool cat on stage. I can assure you.
I will have the link for that in the description for everybody who's watching, as well as Ryan's other platforms that we have, Twitch, YouTube, etc. Now, I have one more thing to do with you before we end.
Sure.
Now,
Okay.
being a theater person and a kind of pro at adaptability at this point,
Yeah.
I want to play an ad-libs with you.
Oh, jeez.
So I have one up here. I'm not going to tell you the title of it.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's not a long one. It's a pretty short one. And we'll just get right into it. So
Okay.
name of person in the room.
Leaf?
All right, it works. Noun.
I mean, I can't remember what a noun is right now. Person, place, or thing.
Yeah, person, place, or thing.
Well, not a proper noun. So place. Utah.
Utah. All right, superlative ending in est. This is like your coolest, highest, lowest,
Easiest.
easiest. Noun again.
Block.
Oop, I can't spell. Boom. Body part.
Arm.
Verb ending in ing.
Running.
Noun.
Paper.
Verb.
Swim.
Ooh. Event.
9/11.
This. Day,
Yeah.
day of the week.
Oh God. Lunes.
What?
Lunes is Spanish for I want to say Monday,
All right.
but
Well,
it could be Sunday. It
lunes.
just came to my head. You asked me for a day of the week.
It works. Verb.
Ooh, jump.
Jump. Verb.
Glide.
Glide. Place.
Seattle.
That's where I want to move. Time span.
Time span.
Like 2 hours, half hour, etc.
3 milliseconds.
3 milliseconds.
Okay.
I spelled that wrong. Perfect. Verb.
Scare.
Adverb.
You're gonna have to help me on this one.
So it's like an adjective, something that describes a noun. This one describes a verb. So swiftly, stuff like that.
Okay. You can see it's been a while since I've taken an English class here, Leaf. I know.
Oh, good.
Some of these coaches may have kids in school, okay? So they may know these, okay? Just want to put that out there before you judge me, okay?
No
Do not have
judgment.
children. Swiftly, gracefully.
Gracefully. That's a good one.
Let's go.
And name of person in the room.
Ryan.
Ryan. All right. So I'll tell you the title of this. This is called Love Letter.
Oh God.
Dear Leaf, it has come to my Utah that you are the easiest girl or boy in the block. My arm starts running a paper every time you speak. I would like to swim if you want to go to the 9/11 with me next lunes.
Oh Jesus.
If you jump,
Oh God.
please glide me at the Seattle in 3 milliseconds. I scare you and everything about you. Gracefully, Ryan.
That took me places I didn't know I could go. Really, a whole new world, truly. If we're gonna quote theater right now.
We wrote a book. Now you gotta write a stage production about this story.
That's gonna be a hard one. That's gonna be a hard one. You know, if I gotta say, 9/11's already been done on stage. It has. So
912. We got it. Boom.
912. There we go. Okay.
Alrighty. Now the official before I have you sign off.
Okay.
I ask somebody, or not somebody, I ask the interviewee every single video at the end a special question that I hold near and dear to my heart. As we all know, I've said it every single video, I am a person of giving. I like to give people things. I think there's not many things in this world that are better than, you know, having the ability to make somebody smile. Now, my question to you is, what is the last gift that you've given somebody?
The last gift that I've given somebody. Well, seeing that it was just Christmas, it helps me quite a bit. I gave, you know, I'll do this one. So I have a girlfriend now. It's sort of new in the past month. We are official, and then in the past few months we've been seeing each other, that sort of thing. But I guess what was nice is I got her this like small stocking, put some Burt's Bees chapstick in it, these Kinder chocolates from Germany that are pretty popular chocolates, and then an Old Navy gift card. And you know, to me, it wasn't the material items that were the gift. It was the fact that, you know, I wanted her to know that, listen, I want to give you the gift of knowing that I'm listening to what you say, I'm remembering what you say, and I want you to know that I care about you and that I'm going to do my best to try to remember even the small things, because I think those are the things that matter. And so while it wasn't the biggest gift in the world, it hopefully was a gift of meaning something. So that's, yeah, great question.
For sure, quality over quantity, my friend. It's not always about how big it is, but how close to here it is, you know?
I agree, man. 100%.
So,
Hundo.
Before we sign out, do you have any last words to say to the people at home?
The only thing I gotta say is how we doing, and I cannot wait to see many of you on the battlefield in my division as we head forward into these further weeks, because it is going to be merciless. The Springfield Spoinks, I say it every time after every game, are going to the finals. Now, whether or not that's going to be true, we'll see. It's only week 5 this week or next week, depending on when this gets released. Next week is week 6. Yeah, you get the point. But it's been a pleasure, Leaf. I totally appreciate the time today to be a part of this interview. I know many of us are, and it's taken time out of your day to sit down, edit, get through these, even though they can be awkward at times. Why I said 9/11 during that ad lib, the world may never know, okay? But thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
And thank you for being here, Ryan. Everyone at home, same thing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. All of Ryan's links will be in the description after I post this. Have a wonderful rest of your season. As always, signing out, Leaf and Ryan. Peace out.